supply chainers, wherever you are in the world. This is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey with you today. Are you ready? Let's talk supply chain. Hey everyone, and welcome to Thoughts and Coffee. My name is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey. I'm the founder and host of Let's Talk Supply Chain, the Blended podcast, and founder of the Blended Pledge. I am coming at you live from Florida on my way to New York City to actually see in person my guest for today, which I'm super excited about. We're going to be talking all things blockchain, supply chain investment, manifest, because that's coming up next week as well. There's so much going on in the industry. So before we do that, let's talk a little bit about our show sponsors. So the Secret Society of Supply Chain, if you head over to secretsocietyofsupplychain.com, we have membership groups for everyone in the industry. We've got supply chainers, we've got women in supply chain, plus we've got the creative room or the supply chain marketing master's program for marketing professionals in supply chain. If you are here, if you are watching, we want to hear from you. Make sure that you put maybe your maybe an emoji that you like the best. Let's put that in the comments. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Let's have some fun today. All right. Now, before we bring up our guests, let's talk about what's happening at Let's Talk Supply Chain. So we've got a brand new episode for you, episode 448, which is bridging the gap between operations and technology with Buckeye Mountain. If you haven't listened to this episode, highly recommend you head over there, check it out. And the reason why they are innovative when it comes to technology. They've had clients call them with a challenge, and they've kind of bootstrapped a solution together. And he gives one really great example in this episode about how they did it within 48 hours to keep an operation, I believe, at an airport going for supply chain. Now, that is true innovation with some great examples of how we make things happen on a daily basis. So, episode 448, wherever you listen to the show, you can also head over to our YouTube channel. Then on Friday, February 14th at 10 a.m. Eastern, Eric Johnson is going to be hosting another episode of TPM Today. He's going to be talking about the future of smart containers and what it means for supply chains. I don't know if you guys have ever looked into smart containers. I've looked into them before, and there's a variety of them on the market. Some are foldable, which I was like, how can you fold a container? But let's see who comes up on this episode. Hit the attend button, and we will send you the link to the recording after we go live, even if you can't attend live. Then on February 19th at 1 p.m. Eastern, from chaos to coordination, I'm going to be talking to Mark from Softion. Now, we're talking about warehouse automation to achieve long-term success. This is something that supply chain leaders, supply chain professionals are looking at right now. Warehouse automation. Where does that fit in for you? What does that look like? How is that, long-term success? What does that look like for your company? So click the attend button. Even if you can't attend live, we will send you the link after the recording for that as well. And I don't know if you saw this over on the Let's Talk Supply Chain LinkedIn page the other day. I wanted to just bring this up because we are bringing you information like this on specific details in supply chain and what it means and how people are thinking about it. So if you haven't been over on our LinkedIn page lately, go and check it out. This is just one of them. AI isn't the future of supply chains. It's already here. So we're talking about AI like it's in the future, but theoretically it's already here, right? So 80% of logistics leaders plan to increase AI adoption. Let me know in the comments if you agree with that, maybe with a fire emoji. If you don't agree with it, then maybe put the X one, but let us know why you don't agree with it. And then we talk about how 25% of companies are using, if I could talk today, 25% of companies using AI report improved demand forecasting accuracy as well. Want to hear from you. Put it in the comment. Have you seen that? Do you agree with it? Do you not agree with it? Would love to know your thoughts. Tomorrow, I head over to New York City. Actually, today I head over to New York City. But tomorrow, I'm going to be at an event put on by Sutton Circular Fashion House. Now, Sutton Strack is one of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and I am honored to be one of the women pioneers of circular fashion 2025. And we've got a group of us going. It's going to be really fun. I'm so grateful for this honor. Follow me on Instagram, Sarah Barnes-Humphrey. We're going to be posting all sorts of videos there, and then we're going to have all sorts of content coming at you because we've got a videographer that's going to be following us around all night, which is fun. Last but not least, we've got some events coming up. So right after this at 11 a.m. Eastern, I am doing a webinar with Supply Chain Brain and WSI. If you have not clicked the register button, we're going to put that register link in the comments so that you can register and come and join us at 11 a.m. We're going to be talking about why your 3PL partner may change in 2025. And then, of course, in-person events. We've got Manifest coming up next week, TPM coming up March 2nd through 5th in Long Beach, California, and Home Delivery World May 21st and 22nd in Nashville. Wow, that was a lot to share. I totally went over what I usually do, but now it's time to bring up our guest for today, Chelsey. Welcome to Thoughts and Coffee. It's your first time here.
Well, thanks for having me, and congrats on your honoring tomorrow night.
You're gonna be there. I'm so excited. Are you excited?
Y'all, it's at a honky tonk in Manhattan with Real Housewives and Circular Fat. It's just a bunch is going to be going on. I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
Nikki Hilton's gonna be there. I believe Luann's gonna be there. There's a couple of other people, so super exciting. We're gonna spend all day, I think, getting ready and all that kind of stuff. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. I don't know what you're wearing. I am gonna be representing a Canadian Indigenous designer because I wanted to go to the event and kind of represent an underrepresented voice from my home country and hopefully send some love their way as well. All right. So for anybody who doesn't know who you are, tell everybody who you are, what you do, and, all the things.
Hey there, I'm Chelsey. I've been working in a variety of freight tech companies for the past 8 years, generally running their marketing, sales, and customer success departments. And now I've recently gone fractional. So I am a fractional CRO, CMO, CXO, which is experience officer. So helping different companies kind of figure out what do they even do? Why does it matter? Who should buy what from them? And then how to scale up everything in a sustainable way.
I love that. And thank you for defining CXO. Because, you never know what any of these acronyms actually ever mean.
When I first saw someone's business card with it, I was like, what is that? I said, oh, I want that job. So.
And just so everybody knows, I'm trying a virtual background for the first time of my studio. Let's just be real. You're going to see some stuff going on here. I'm trying not to move too much, but I wanted to make it as authentic as possible while I'm traveling. I'm trying over here. I'm trying. All right, let's get to our poll of the week. So we ask the community a question every single Wednesday morning. And last week's question, what's your top priority for improving supply chain resilience this year? Now, we had almost 100 votes. If you had not voted for this poll, go and check it out. I think we're putting the links in the comments potentially. If we do, go check it out. Make your vote count. We really want to make sure that this is a great place for everybody to just get an idea what everybody's thinking. So 41% of you said risk management. 26% of you said supplier diversification. Listen, with what happened over the weekend, I can't blame anybody for that one. 24% tech adoption. 9% sustainability goals. Ugh, wah, wah. I feel like that one's a little low. But anyways, Chelsey, what do you think?
Oof. As someone who's helped implement a bunch of tech at companies, I'd say that the tech adoption kind of feeds into all of the other pieces. So you might have tech you're already using at your company, but you're not squeezing everything out of it that you can, or you didn't set it up in a way that's going to help you grow or help you get what you need out of it. I think that comes down to change management, change leadership, and focusing on what do we already have and how does it work? Getting with your vendors and saying, hey, I bought this AI doodad from you. Are we using it right? How could we use it to solve boop, 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 any of these other things on the list or anything else you're thinking about? You've already got a bunch of tech at your companies. Just try to use them the way that they're meant to be used, or get with your vendor and figure out what you can get out of them. That would be my advice or focus for this year.
The doodad. I mean, I just want to use that word moving forward when I'm referring to technology. So thank you
Yeah.
for that. I do want to give a shout out because some of these questions have to do with what we were just talking about. So over on my personal LinkedIn, we've got Mona Lee, we've got Wendy. Mona Lee, we are going to get to blockchain in just a minute, so we're going to hold that question. But Wendy says, hi from New York. Thanks for joining us. But while I agree, I think it is important to also invest in a company's sustainability goals. AI is a huge cost to our environment. If we want to use this tool for short-term gains, we need to think about how to ensure long-term success for our company and the world. Yes, I completely agree with it. Although with that poll, sustainability is kind of lower on the list, I believe, for some companies this year. But you're talking about how it goes hand in hand with technology. Hopefully they're thinking about that when they're looking at technology adoption, who they're going to be working with and what that looks like. All right. So now is the time that we usually get into a market update. So now you've worked with a lot of technology companies in supply chain. I'm going to let you start. There's something that I want to touch on that kind of, sent the world a little crazy over the weekend. Not going to get into too much details because I'm not a tariff expert, but I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about it today. So what do you think? Give us a bit of a market update. Where are you seeing sort of technology today?
We're going to talk about some buzzwords today. So
Yes,
let's
we
have
are.
some fun with that. AI is still blowing people's minds. How am I going to put AI into this? Do I need an AI department? What is AI going to do for my business? So we're going to talk about blockchain today, which was a buzzword back in 2017, 2018. And now, wait, it's hot again. Is AI going to do the same thing? I'm excited to get into that. Yeah. What are we doing? And then in terms of the tariffs, I've been seeing a lot of Canadian posts saying, you want your lumber, great, enjoy the price increases. So I'd love to see, I don't know if you do this in the comments, but
what does everybody think about tariffs? Let's be nice, people, in the comments, but we want to hear from you about how it kind of rocked your world over the weekend, because I feel like everyone just went crazy. There was some graphics with misinformation that was put out there. I know in the threads that I was looking at, all the Canadians were like, go and buy Made in America. And then they went to the store and they were like, there's not a lot here. There's some, but there's not a lot. And so I don't think Canada will necessarily forget this anytime soon, because we really just want to be good trading partners, right? There's an agreement in place. We want that to be upheld. They spent a lot of time, energy, and money to get there on that agreement, and it would be nice to uphold that. Last week, I was actually a guest on Procurability, their show, talking about tariffs. Again, I'm not a tariff expert. I've been in the industry long enough where I can talk, sort of high level. One of the things that I referred to this whole tariff thing, I don't like the word that they're using, because I feel like it's combative. So I don't want to use that word. I also don't want to use it because I'll probably get in trouble. But I was kind of thinking about tariffs as Tetris. Like if we change the mindset around it being combative and thinking about it being a bit of a game is not a very good word either. But if we think about the Tetris, right? This is the Tetris that we're playing around tariffs. So do we want to buy from certain suppliers? Do we want to change our suppliers? It's giving us an opportunity to have those conversations and think about what we want to be doing differently. And that's what I mean about Tetris. How do we position everything to sort of fit for what we want as an organization to be? Right? So I talked a little bit about that, but there's a lot to think about. Right? I don't envy the supply chain professionals that are having to deal with this at the moment, because, you're imposing tariffs, you're taking tariffs away. I mean, just think about customs, people in customs over the weekend. Probably went in, worked all weekend, changed the tariffs in the system, and then literally had to wind that back on Sunday, right? There's a lot of people being affected by this in a variety of different ways, and just want to give a shout out to that.
And the third article we're talking about today, I would love to get your opinion on how that the waterway, what's going to happen there with all these tariffs? How are we going to invest if we're not really partners in the way that we thought we were partners? So we'll get to that a little later.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get to our first article. So we are talking about blockchain. Now, I brought up this article. I wanted to talk about this article because some people love blockchain, some people don't like blockchain, some people, some people don't think it's going to work, and yet we're still talking about it, right? And
Yep.
I'm just not entirely sure where it fits in. It does mention supply chain management a little bit further down in this article, but two things I want to point out. One thing is, in supply chain, we are talking about security on a regular basis, right? We're talking about cybersecurity. We're talking about security of our data, because supply chains really do make the world go round. And so how do we store data in a secure way? This article argues that blockchain is the answer to that, because there's no central point of storing data. I am not a blockchain expert. I don't know if that is the right answer, but just want to point that out if we're talking about security. Secondly, they're talking about transparency and real-time auditing, which is what we need, right? With all of these new regulations coming in place, and with blockchain, you're able to also trace a product from origin to consumer. And all these new regulations are coming in place. And listen, they are stopping shipments coming in at the border. If you don't know the origin, you don't know your tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, all the way down suppliers. And so if there is a technology, and if this is the answer, I don't know, we need to be able to do that to satisfy some of the rules and regulations that are coming into place. I'm going to stop here. I've talked too much. Chelsey, what do you think?
So I'm going to liken blockchain to two different technologies. One, think about QR codes. QR codes were these hip, like, oh, look at this. We're going to use this in all these different ways. And then didn't really use it until the pandemic. And then it found its use, right? We need it for the menus. We need it to print and show the menus from your phone. You take a picture. We need it for this. I think that's the past. AI in the future, same thing. How do we use AI? How does this fit into the different pieces of my supply chain? And now blockchain's been around for a while, and it hasn't found its sweet spot in application broadly across the supply chain. But I think there are some associations out there, clubs out there. You can look online to learn from them about how does blockchain work in my supply chain. I think the transparency piece is the coolest. So if you've got a piece of salmon that was caught in Alaska, slapped it on the boat, and then it gets all the way down to Florida where you are right now, and it's on somebody's plate. How can we see its journey? How do we know the temperature at each point in the journey? If something goes wrong, where's the liability? I think that's really cool for cold storage, especially.
And it's interesting. So I am listening to the plant paradox. I don't know if anybody's read that, but if you've read it, if you're listening to it, and they talk about the origins of the food that you're eating. And so not only in supply chain, but I think more and more people are going to question some of the things that they're putting in their body, and going to want to know where it comes from and what it's been fed before you are necessarily eating it. That's what it talks about in that book. I won't go into depth about it. But that's an interesting point on traceability and origins, et cetera, because consumers might be asking those questions somewhat soon, if not now. Now, Monali, over on my personal, actually, I want to give a shout out to Mary first. Hi, Mary. Thanks for joining us today. Blockchain has so much potential to reshape transparency in supply chains. How do you see its role evolving in sectors like food processing or pharmaceuticals, where traceability and trust are key? I kind of just answered that with what what I was talking about around the plant paradox. Listen, I'm not a blockchain expert. I think, you know, we did have an article actually, I think on two Thoughts and Coffees ago, where we talked about how some manufacturers of food are coming together around ingredients and that they're sharing a database, whether they're using blockchain or not. I would go back to our Thoughts and Coffee 2 weeks ago, take a look at that, listen to what we talked about around the food ingredients and the sourcing and them coming together. And you might find your answer there as well. Chelsey, I don't know if you wanted to jump in there or not.
I've got one other application that I think would be interesting, and that would be the security and the transparency to help prevent fraud. Now that fraud's was the buzzword last year. And
Still is.
He's still going on.
Mhm.
How does blockchain tie into all the systems we're already using to help cut down on fraud? Is it at the camera at the gate when you've got a container and a chassis pulling in? Is it inside the warehouse? Where are the different places where blockchain can help cut down on fraud? Is it in your phone somehow? I don't know.
It's a good point. Good point. All right. Let's get to our next article. It's not really an article. We are featuring the Manifest website because Chelsey and I are both going to be there. And so because it's next week, we just wanted to give you an idea of what we're going to be doing if you're going to be there. We'd love to see you. We're actually hosting a Secret Society of Supply Chain sponsored by Lynxis party on Sunday night. If you are getting into Vegas, send me a DM. We'd love to have you there for our exclusive event on the Sunday night. We know it's Super Bowl. We're doing it after Super Bowl. So don't worry about timing. You can go watch Super Bowl and then you can come and see us. And then I know on Monday night, I'm actually hosting a Woman in Supply Chain dinner as well, which is going to be a ton of fun. As you all know, I try to do those when I am traveling, where I'm traveling, just to get us all together. And so that's going to be a lot of fun. What are you doing at Manifest? What have you got going on?
I've got a list. The show's grown a ton since the last time I've been, so I'm pretty pumped. Number one, puppies. Has to. Number two, the women's lunch. And I think, yes, on Wednesday, there's a women's lunch and men are allowed. We're encouraging men to come. One of the greatest things about that lunch is looking out at the audience and seeing all of the men that are supporting and celebrating the women in the industry. So,
and there's going to be, I believe somebody from the leadership at Mary Kay in supply chain, that's going to be one of the speakers as well. And he is talking about how to be, I believe it's about how to be an ally, supply chain, et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to be a great event. And Blended Pledge is one of the charitable sponsors for that particular event as well. So that's super exciting.
And we'll have little blended pins, right, for people to put on their.
Yes. Have some rack cards with some information. Some Chelsea's bringing the pins. You know, we got all the things. We are bringing all the things to Manifest because even for our Sunday night, I think we're doing a photo booth. So if you want to come and get your picture taken, come and join us. Some other stuff that I'm doing, I am recording some content for my upcoming episode on the Legacy Makers TV show. And then I'm also going to be recording podcasts all day Tuesday. I think I have like 7 of them. And then Wednesday with Lynxis. So I'm excited about that.
Can people come by and see you?
Yes, I'll be mostly. So I'm recording a couple of episodes in the actual Manifest podcast booth on Tuesday morning. I'm trying to get my days right. Tuesday morning, and then I will be in booths all afternoon, recording on site in some booths. And I'm going to have a very, very special guest Tuesday morning in the Manifest podcast booth. So definitely come by. She's a bit of a celebrity, so it's going to be some fun.
Awesome.
All right. So let's get to, I'm not even ready for this. Let's get to our last article for today. We've only got a couple of minutes to talk about. So the St. Lawrence Seaway in Canada is investing $350 million in infrastructure to strengthen supply chain. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this up, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, Chelsey, in the fact that, we're looking to make investments, Canada, the US, we're making investments into infrastructure to strengthen supply chain. I believe one of the guiding forces in that is that we have a lot of products that make its way into the US through Canada, and we want to be able to support North American supply chains. If we have this tariff thing going on, it really kind of hinders it for everybody, right?
Indeed. I like this article because I went down a spiral of lock videos, and it was so cool. The science, but I loved it. This is a 3-year plan, and it started last April. The investment started last April, 350 million, all across. Does this version have the map of all the different
I
points?
don't know. I can check. Hold on. Let me scroll through and see. No, it doesn't.
If not, you guys can search it online, and it shows all the different points, and you can see, wow, this waterway has a lot of stops. There are a lot of key points that need to be kept up to date, need connectivity. If you're adding new tech, is it implemented properly? If you're adding new infrastructure, is it done in a sustainable way? All questions that are worth asking. And that's a pretty big investment to make sure that these goods coming in are making their way to us safely, cleanly.
But yeah, and I think it also goes to show that there's going to need to be a lot of investment across the board in not only infrastructure. I mean, we talk about investment in supply chain, but it's all going to come down to the consumer, right? We're talking about tariffs adding cost to some of the products that we go and buy as consumers. I think that's only part of it. I think the money that we're going to have to invest in infrastructure across North America for supply chains to be resilient, secure, reliable, it's going to take all of us to be able to do that across North America together in a collaborative fashion. But I think as consumers, it's one of the things that I think is going to obviously increase the prices of goods as well, because the money's got to come somewhere. And if it doesn't happen now, it's going to have to happen in the future, because we just need all of these things to become more efficient. And hopefully, with the use of innovation and technology, that will bring some of the costs down, will help with like bringing the cost down. But there has to be that investment there.
And the sustainable piece too, are we building things in a way that's smarter, better for the planet, and over the long term going to be more sustainable? I know that was a question earlier on. It was only 9%, y'all.
Sustainability is only 9%.
I think making the other changes is going to have an impact. This article did point out that marine shipping was the most sustainable, and not sure if that's. I always thought it was rail. So I would love to know opinions, or if somebody has a study on sustainability in the supply chain of what defines what. I want to read more.
Okay, Larry is in the audience right now because he commented, and he's probably already looking it up right now and is ready to put the link in the comments. Just saying. Larry, no pressure. But so Bayram says that he would like the two of us to make a podcast. Funny enough, it's something that I've wanted to talk to Chelsey for a little bit. So I don't know. Stay tuned. We will see what happens. But Chelsey, thank you so much for joining me here on Thoughts and Coffee. Thanks everybody for watching, tuning in, commenting. We love to see you. And next week I will be at Manifest, but Audrey is going to be hosting Thoughts and Coffee next Tuesday. And her guest is going to be Rose from Opening Door, and they're going to be talking about AI. She just wrote an article, I think it was for Forbes, talking about AI agents and what you need to know for 2025. So stay tuned for that, because that's going to be a really fun episode. Chelsey, everybody, thanks so much. Have a great